Today's Tips du Jour mailbag question comes to us from Wisconsin. Robert, I need to make a new nut for my guitar. Can you offer some advice on how to proceed? Tim in Wisconsin. Well, Tim, you didn't mention why you need to make the new nut. Maybe you lost it, maybe it's worn out, maybe it's just been cut so low that the strings are buzzing, you don't want to shim it or do the CA glue and bone technique to get it back to the correct height. So obviously you've decided to make a new nut. Let me show you how I make it. Perhaps you can pick up a few tips. So Tim, here's a 1937 Martin 00 on my bench here, and the old nut is just shot. The grooves are too big, they're too deep, it's cracked on one side. It just needs to have a new nut. So here's the new nut blank that I got from LMI. The most important thing that I can tell you about making a new nut is make sure that it fits the slot. Nothing worse than a slot and the nut doesn't fit in there properly. On this particular one, where the nut sets, it's actually angled down on the peg head side. So I had to put an angle on the bottom side. Make sure that it's not overhanging on the sides here. Very, very important. Make sure the nut fits. Now, how you do that's up to you. I usually get the nut close with my thickness sander and then come in and finish it up. I've got a piece of MDF here with some sandpaper on it, 81, 22, 23, 20, and slowly sneak up on it till it fits perfectly in there. Now, as you're sanding that thing, turn it over and rotate it often so you keep everything square. Here's another little trick for you. Once you get it flush on the ends here, everything's fitting. If you come in, use the 320 grit paper, on the bottom edge, the front edge, and the back edge, if you just lightly break off that square edge there, when you put it into the nut slot, and the fretboard will shrink over time, the nut will be extending ever so slightly. We're talking a microscope here. As the hand comes down there, it will fill a rounded edge instead of a square edge, and it will fool the hand into thinking that it's still flush. The next thing I did is came in and marked the string spacing from the old nut onto the new nut blank. Also check the distances from the edge. If you want to come in with a set of calipers or your ruler, but transfer all that over there so that you know where to slot the new string slots. I then come in with an X-Acto saw blade, using my thumb as a guide right over the line that I've drawn and about the angle of the peg head, begin to open up a slot there. All I want to do is get it to the front of the nut. I don't want to deepen it at this time. Sometimes you can't see it, but your fingernail will certainly grab a hold of it if you run it across that front edge. That's all you want to do is just get it to the front edge at this point. Some people like to angle that one. I keep it straight. Make sure you're not cutting like this or like this. Once again, just get it right to the front edge. So on the back of your package of string, there's always a little chart, gives you string tension and the gauge for each string. I use that chart to tell me how wide each slot needs to be. What I'm going to use is the nut files that I got from LMI, and the first string here just happens to be 11 thousandths, and so I'm going to come in with a nut file and go right into the slot there. Once again, just bring it right to the front edge of the nut. I don't want to deepen it this time. That comes during the setup. The second one also is very similar to this one. Just bring it right to the front edge. Then we're going up to 23 thousandths. I have one that's very close to that. You don't have to be exact. Just get the closest one you can. And just open up all of these slots just to the front edge of the nut. Make sure that the file comes all the way to the front edge. If not, your string break angle is just a microscope back from the front edge, and then you're going to have intonation and tuning issues, maybe some buzzing as well. So make sure you get it all the way to the front edge. So here's the new nut blank all ready to go. The guitar is now ready for strings. Once the strings go on, I go ahead and use those files again to go ahead and deepen the slots down to the correct action that the client wants. Each client is different. Make sure you ask. However, this nice, clean, white bone nut blank now looks kind of like a lady of the night in church on Sunday morning. Looks just a little bit out of place. So I'm going to take just a little bit of garnet shellac, put it on there, and that's going to stain it just enough to give it that nice patina. And if you even want to take a little bit of sawdust, rub on there. And that is going to stain it, make it look like it's a little bit older than it actually is. That can now go in there, and I will now put the strings on and finish the setup.